All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays. Like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.
What is going on? Welcome back to another episode of the Between the Pipes podcast. Season 1, this is our third episode of the show. I'm here today with my co-host, Xander Weinstein. How are you doing? How are things going on over on your side of the, on the other side of the country?
Pretty good. It's been kind of bipolar when it comes to the weather. We've had warm days and hot days all mixed in together. I think tomorrow's supposed to snow. Today was like 60 degrees. So yeah, it's definitely been interesting here on the East Coast.
Here in Washington, rain.
Yes, good old rain.
And rain.
Rain, and more rain.
And cold.
Oh, the cold rain is the worst. Like, why couldn't you just snow? Does it really have to be freezing cold rain?
Yeah. I mean, I live like right on the ocean border, so there's not as much snow. It does snow once a year, like usually sometimes twice, but once a year. We already have a comment, and we'll leave that towards the end since this is actually a hockey show. And news broke today about Deshaun Watson with his legal issues and team over the Vikings or Giants or back the truck up to get him. So I'll go ahead and answer that question, but wait towards the end of the show to do that. But as for now, another week of NHL hockey has wrapped up, and there's two wild games just like last week that we have to talk about. I'm going to go ahead, since you're a Detroit Red Wings fan, I'll go ahead and go with that topic first.
Okay. All right.
They lost.
Oh, man.
They lost badly.
Get ready, general public.
They lost badly to the Arizona Coyotes, which normally I would kind of tease about, but we also recently just lost to the Arizona Coyotes as well. So it's been a weird last couple of games for the Coyotes. I'm kind of confused about what's going on.
Yeah, the Coyotes have scored, in their past two games, they have scored 17 goals. They've scored 8, and then they scored 9 against the Red Wings. And that's the one that we're here to talk about today. The Red Wings loss. Oh my God. All right, I'm gonna look directly into the camera on this one because I need to get my point across. What the hell was that?
Hold on, just 1 second. I'm back at stage. I'm putting your full screen. Okay.
Anyway. Ooh, good idea. Anyway, what the hell was that? What debauchery of a hockey game was that? I don't even know where to start with this one. Is it the offense, the defense, or the goaltending? Because neither showed up. All of them, I think, showed up to Arizona thinking that it was an away game, but it was a home game, and nobody was there to show up. Our goaltending, we couldn't stop an empty net shot. We wouldn't have been able to. It's just, if we had the whole goal covered, they could still score at will. It's so bad what I watched on Tuesday. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. By the fifth goal in the period, I was like, there's no way I can watch this entire thing. And now I also have a little bit of a problem with the Red Wings coaching staff at this point. For the past 5 years, Jeff Blashill has been at the helm. I'm not saying that he's done awful, but he hasn't done what he's supposed to do. He had one of the worst seasons I think I've ever seen from any NHL team. And I think that I think that he needs to go. He needs to go. And we need we need a coach that can generate offense as well as hold it down on defense. And those are my two main problems: our goaltending and our defense. Our goaltending shows up some games, and then, like this past one, does not show up at all after that. But it's the young guys and it's the old guys. We don't have a very good balance of goalies. We have a young goaltender who I think is playing either his first or second season, and then we have Thomas Greiss, who's playing I think his 10th or something season, and he's just not the guy that used to be on the Islanders. So to wrap this up, I just gotta say, figure it out. I was getting so hopeful. The Red Wings were doing so well. They were doing so well in the month of February. We had a bunch of wins. Seider and Raymond were showing why they were going to be Calder trophy holders, or why they could be, excuse me. And this game really just bashed a lot of my hopes. So Red Wings, figure it out. Either fire Blashill or get some sort of off defensive rhythm going, excuse me. But figure it out.
And I couldn't agree more. That was just a terrible game by the Detroit Red Wings. But honestly, the funniest thing that there was another funny game that happened. This was the game was. If you were the San Jose Sharks fan, the game probably wasn't funny to you. But there was a funny incident that happened around the weekend involving the San Jose Sharks game, and that they lost the Nashville Predators 8-0, and a buddy of mine, he says that game was so awful that if I were to step in, he said that if he were to step in as the Sharks GM, he probably would be doing better than what the Sharks are doing right now. And to add on to that, a few weeks ago, he accidentally mispronounced two of the two NHL team names. He called the St. Louis Blues, he called them the Vancouver Blues. And then he called the Winnipeg Jets the Dallas Jets. And that caught live on air. And that was, really, really funny to watch. He admits that he doesn't know much about the NHL, but even him coming out and saying that if he were to rebuild this team, he would be doing better than what the Sharks
are doing. Now. That's saying something's wrong with the Sharks front office there.
Yeah, and that was that. That was just another game. They're just another team that even though that they were in the playoffs a few years ago, actually the Sharks, the first year of the stretch that we started, Colorado Avalanche started to do well. We finished off in the 8th seed, and we lost the second round to the we actually lost we lost the second round to the San Jose Sharks that year. And so it's kind of it's time has really just gone by fast since then, and they just really started to really blow things up and just start over from scratch, because what they're doing is obviously not working.
Yeah, I was reading an article earlier today about the Sharks, because when I was doing the research for this topic, I was reading up on it a little bit, and I read an article that somebody had said there was an analyst for the Sharks that had said, yeah, so the Sharks I don't think need to do a rebuild. I think they just need a retooling. And I'm like, you see, the Sharks tried to retool, but that didn't work out. So they need to rebuild.
Honestly, I think if they needed to retool, is they've been missing the playoffs for the past 2 to 3 years. So I understand if like they're not doing so if they're just another Montreal Canadian, because they went out. I know they're doing bad this year. I get that, but my point is they were in the Stanley Cups last year.
Mm-hmm.
And so if they were not doing well enough that they're not going to they're probably not going to the playoffs, even if they're a 500 team, or even if they had one win this entire season. But then they would need to retool because whatever they did worked last year. But if it constantly continues to not work out for the past 3, 4, 5 seasons, then no, they just need to blow it up, and just start from the beginning.
Yeah, actually, there was actually a question that just came in, and it's actually hockey related. John Sugg says, "Do you see the Penguins making a push for the cup?"
I could see them making a playoffs. They're probably going to make the playoffs, but I think they're going to be first, second round exit.
Now, for me, the Penguins are always dangerous because no matter where the Penguins are, whether it be the wild card, third spot, first spot, second spot, they're always a good playoff team. They very rarely, at least from my
Unless they play
experience,
the New York Islanders.
This is true, but I don't think that's going to be a problem this year.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so honestly, I do see the Penguins. I could see the Penguins making a push. It's going to be very hard for them because the East is very stacked right now.
Mm-hmm.
They have to make it through both the Lightning and the Maple Leafs, and both those teams are on fire.
And well, I mean, okay, I get that Florida is their new team and all, but Florida's
Florida's also really good.
Even
Carolina.
Florida's also really good. Yeah.
But honestly, I could see him making a push, in my opinion. They can always make a push. They're always a dangerous team in the playoffs.
I can see them making a push, but I don't think they're going to go all the way.
Sounds good.
Now, there is one team that is still they're on the hunt to make the NHL playoffs, but as of late, they had 6-3-1 at home. Not at home, but in their last 10 games.
Last 10 games, 6 or 7.
Dallas Stars. It was like 6-3 or 1 or 7-3-0 or something like that.
Yeah, it's 7-2-1.
7-2-1. Okay, yeah.
Last 10 it's 7-2-1. Going all the way back to February against the Jets, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so they are unexpectedly. Well, I wouldn't say unexpectedly, but they're making a push. Do you see them as a potential wild card team?
I mean, yeah. The way that Dallas has been playing, here's the thing: their offense is really starting to take shape. Like, their offense was really good on paper starting the season. They had Joe Pavelski, Tyler Seguin.
Mm-hmm.
They had like a really good young squad. Roop Hintz. They got a couple of young guys on there that are really, really like high prospects, and I can't wait to see what they develop into. So their offense is really starting to take shape, and in my opinion, that's gonna be really good come playoff push time.
I saw their game when they played against the I didn't see the whole thing, but I saw bits and pieces of it when they played the Nashville Predators. And honestly, I think losing a divisional game, that's going to hurt them, because especially since Nashville and Dallas are right neck to neck. They're just literally one game separating the both of them.
Yeah, as long as Dallas can find a way to keep winning, and even if they lose to the Predators, even then, like, I still think the Predators would be bounced out by Dallas. Just because Dallas is on such a tear right now. It's the last month of the season. Everybody's like really happy, or sorry, really excited.
Even the Coyotes are making a push in their last 10 games.
Yeah, so
they're not going to make playoffs, but
not even close. They might make first overall pick though.
Montreal is doing well. I'm sorry. Arizona has been doing well in their past 10 games, and same with the Montreal Canadiens have been doing well in the past 10 games. They're 7-3.
The late season surges where all their fans are like, why couldn't we have done this like 2 months ago? That's what I say about the Red Wings all the time. We go on a big win streak at the end of the season. We'll go on like a 4-game win streak. I'm like, why couldn't we do this months ago to make the playoffs maybe? Or something. Yes. Always.
I do think it's kind of annoying when you're the top seed and you lose 2 games in a row to teams that are terrible because they've been going on a good streak.
Yeah, that is the worst.
Colorado.
Yes, Colorado.
We just lost to the New Jersey Devils.
But listen, New Jersey's gonna be a problem in a couple of years.
They are. But now it's not a couple of years. And the last question, the last topic of the night, which
actually, before we go on the last topic, I do want to say something about the Sharks' loss. While yes, it was a really bad loss.
Stars loss?
The Sharks loss. The Sharks 8-0 loss. Yeah, we covered it, and I meant to bring it up beforehand, but I didn't. While yes, it was a bad loss, they did have James Reimer is out. Their starting goaltender's out. So
makes sense.
They had to bring in. They traded with the Oilers for Alex Stalock, and he hasn't played since August. I think August 7th, 2020. So he hasn't played in almost a solid 2 years. So the rust was clearly there, unfortunately. But I can't blame the entire thing on the Sharks just because Alex Stalock hadn't played for almost 2 years. So you can't expect a goaltender who hasn't played for almost 2 years. Who's not like a stud too. It's not like it's a prime Jonathan Quick coming back from an injury and completely messing it up. It's Alex Stalock. I didn't really expect much from this whole thing, but yeah, I just wanted to be a little fair, just so we're not ripping into the Sharks completely.
Yeah. There is. What was I gonna say? One last topic that we have, but first there is something else I do want to say, and there was another blowout game that I wanted to talk about. And this was actually happened yesterday, I think. Pull it up real quick. The New York Islanders, they beat the Columbus Blue Jackets. Yeah, it was New York Islanders. They beat the Columbus Blue Jackets 6-0. And that was the final score yesterday. Oliver Bjorkstrand. Bjorkstrand had. No, actually, I looked at the wrong stat. I was about to say he had 2 goals, but he did not. He had 2 shots on goal. That was actually the most throughout the entire Columbus Blue Jackets lineup.
That is so unfortunate.
Actually, I take that back. Max Domi had 3, but still.
Max Domi's on the Blue Jackets now?
Yeah, he's on the Blue Jackets now.
Wow.
Yeah, he had 3 shots on goal. And that was the most. And everybody else had 2 that had a shot on goal. And then except for Justin Danforth, and I really don't know how to pronounce this dude's name.
Who is it?
It's
Here, let me go get to the stat line real quick. Oh, is it a Russian? Is it like one of those like really
Vladislav?
Oh, this should be good. Hold on. Let me try to pull this up. Who is it?
And Andrew Peak and Eric Robinson also had a shot on goal as well. So it was really spread out throughout the game. But they just couldn't convert that into goals.
Yeah, wow. Everybody really only had like a couple shots on goal. That is so upsetting. Nyquist, I don't think had anything.
Zach Werenski had 3.
Ah, yes. Domain Rowensky had 3. It's looking Gavrikov had 1. Boone Jenner, Bjorkstrand had 2. Patrick Line had nothing. That I'm kind of surprised about.
Gavrikov, I think that was Gavrikov or stuff like that. I really don't know how to pronounce his name.
Gavrikov. Yep. And then Voracek as well. Gotta love him. Yeah, he got a shot on goal. And Roslovich. Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this Blue Jackets team. Listen, I'm looking at the roster right now. This Blue Jackets team is dangerous coming next season. Like they have Voracek. If Voracek doesn't retire, then they have Voracek, Line, and it looks like
Anders Lee had the same number of goals in that game than Max Domi had for shots on goal.
Lee had a hat trick. Wow.
And Zach Werenski also had 3 shots on goal, but Domi and Werenski had the same number of shots on goal that
the Islanders scored.
Had goals.
Yeah. Oh man, that has to be so upsetting to see. Even as a coach. As a coach, how do you think that the Blue Jackets coach is John Tortorella now still, or did he retire? I have no idea.
I think he retired.
If he didn't, then it's John Tortorella. But I don't even know how you look at this. The whole team's walking home. The whole team's walking home. Like this. That is upsetting to see.
Skip the plane trip. You're all traveling by foot.
Yeah, seriously. You all are walking home. Y'all had 25 shots on goal, couldn't score 1. Just 1. Now, I'm not saying I could do any better, but, you know. I'm the one, I just have to talk about it.
And then the last topic of the night, which I'm actually going to pull it up right now, we're talking is about the Minnesota Wild, and Minnesota. They have 2 young Kirill Kaprizov and Matthew Boldy. Now you sent me the text. I didn't have really a lot of time to look over it.
Yeah, no, I kind of thought of it last minute. I didn't think that I didn't. Not that I didn't think. I kind of like felt bad because I was like, oh man, we need another topic for tonight. I was trying to scramble for one. But if you would like, I can take this one off. I can take this one.
Okay.
So the Minnesota Wild's future is what I want to look at, because throughout all of the time that I've been following hockey, the Minnesota Wild have been pretty average. Now they've made the playoffs a few years. They've definitely been on that bubble of like, hey, maybe they can win a Stanley Cup this year, but they haven't really proven and or really showed anything for anybody.
I think I read a stat that the only NHL team to have a winning record against the Las Vegas Golden Knights is the Minnesota Wild, but even then, they're still not very. They're still pretty average.
Yeah, and even now, I still wouldn't say, hey, this is definitely a cup contending team, but I think they're a little more above average at this point, just because their season this season has really showed me that they're ready for the next level, that they're ready to take this offense to the next level. And
to an extent, the only thing that I don't agree about is that they do not know how to win against their division.
I was gonna get to that. Their divisional games have not been great, and that's gonna prove really costly once it comes if they have to try and fight for a spot in the playoffs. But I just want to talk about two guys right now, just two guys.
Okay.
Kirill Kaprizov and Matthew Boldy. Kaprizov has been electric this season. Everybody loves watching Kirill Kaprizov, even if you're not a Minnesota Wild fan, clearly, because I'm a Red Wings fan and I love watching the kid. His passing is so pure. It's so good. You see the passes that he makes, and you're like, how did he slit that through that just tiny little crack? You're just like, what? So he has 29 goals and 43 assists this season, and he's showing that the future of the Wild is in amazing hands. Like, that offense is going to be run through an amazing player. Now, Matthew Boldy, unfortunately, wasn't able to play the entire season, because if he was, he would probably be my favorite for the Calder Trophy right now. In 25 games, he has 11 goals and 23 points. 11 goals, 12 assists. He is killing it right now. And if these two guys are both like eventually move up to the same line, it's going to be dangerous. It's going to be 30 goals, 60. It's going to be another Draisaitl McDavid combo, maybe a little less godlike though. What do you got to say on that?
The Kirill Kaprizov guy. I feel like just a quick out of sports comparison, like a sport comparing it to a completely different another sport.
No, totally fine.
Not when it comes to talent, but when it comes to the trick plays, I feel like he is the Patrick Mahomes of the NHL.
Yes,
not when it comes to the talent, not when it comes to the talent, but when it comes to trick plays.
Yes, that I can totally agree. Him and Trevor Zegras, both of them have insane passing like plays that you see, and you're just like, that you just sit in awe. You're just like, wow, how? You are 20 years old. How are you doing this to fellow 25 to 30-year-olds? I look at them and I'm like, how do you think the goalie felt with that pass, Trevor? Like, the goalie probably is embarrassed to show his face to his family.
I can't remember his
so
name.
Upsetting.
I can't remember the dude's name, but all I'm just thinking about right now is being that guy that a few years back when the New York Rangers had their first and second string goalie hurt, and they had to go with their Zamboni driver as their goalie.
Oh yeah.
All I'm imagining right now is, me being him having to go for another game and having to face the dude.
Face Zegras, just you have got to be kidding me. Again? I'm gonna get embarrassed again? Like, awesome. Great. Although one thing I do want to add to the Zamboni driver, I'm pretty sure that's what the Red Wings used in the Coyotes loss. I think we just used our Zamboni driver as our goalie, because I'm so convinced.
The difference is that the Zamboni driver, the guy when the Rangers used their Zamboni driver, they won the game.
That you see, I wish we could have the Rangers Zamboni driver as our goaltender, because he would do better.
I think if I remember correctly, the second string goalie, he got hurt midway through the second inning. And then basically the Zamboni driver, who's in his 40s, keep that in mind.
Gotta love it.
Played the second half and only allowed 2 goals.
I love to see that. You want to know why I love these moments? Because these are the best moments. It shows that just a regular, everyday, average Joe could come onto the ice and stop however many shots he did while only giving up 2 goals in the process.
Now,
if that was me, it was a 7-goal thing, and I would have been pulled 30 seconds later.
He blocked. He blocked 6 of them.
Oh, he went 6 for 8? Oh, that's great. Good for him.
That's great. But, I just felt like that. I think they were playing, if I remember correctly, they were playing the Penguins. I'm going to have to look that up, who they were facing against, but I think it was Pittsburgh. And
a little bit of a fact check on the Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh just lost that game.
Oh man, I can't imagine being a Pittsburgh fan like, oh yeah, we got the Zamboni driver in, and then all of a sudden we just lose. You're just like, what? How? How?
Especially if if the Pittsburgh Penguins had the lead throughout most of the game until the Zamboni drivers came in. That didn't happen.
That
I
is
don't think
so
that happened.
upsetting.
I don't think that
That is
happened.
so. That would be so upsetting. That would be so upsetting if the Penguins have like a 3-1 lead and they just lose 6-5. It's like, oh, come on.
All right. Since I still haven't gotten the text from Jay that I was gonna get, this has been another episode of the Between the Pipes podcast with Xander and Nate the Great. Any final thoughts before we give this a close?
I just want to quickly brush up on the comment that we said that we would cover earlier.
Oh yes.
I just didn't know if we had time, so I just wanted to quickly brush up on it. To answer your question, John, I don't see the Vikings or Giants backing up the truck. I do see the Steelers doing it though, because while yes, the Steelers are not a team to go and haul off almost our entire draft, but we need a quarterback, and Deshaun Watson's only 26 or 27, and we've got a good solid 5-6 years in him at least. He's a mobile quarterback. He's exactly what Mike Tomlin would want. He's got an arm. He's accurate. He's a great pocket presence. I think that the Steelers will make a push for it. I don't know if they'll do it, but I think the Giants, will, stupidly stick with Daniel Jones, and I think the Vikings will just wait for either next year or the year after that to get one in the draft. There's plenty of QB depth coming up in the draft, so that's my take on that.
I think this year, I think that Watson will go to a team that has everything else around them when it comes to the weapons. Maybe not offensive line, and maybe not a defense, but if they have the weapons, wide receivers, tight ends, things like that.
So I'm saying, come to Pittsburgh. We got three good.
Pittsburgh has that. But based off the reports I'm seeing, I'm thinking that Seattle might be a good option for him.
The only reason why I would disagree is because Drew Lock is there. But I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if Seattle made a push for that. Because Drew Lock, in my opinion, is not
draft capital, especially since the stuff that Denver has gotten. The Denver has given up.
Mm-hmm.
Throughout this year's draft and next year's draft.
Mm-hmm.
And they also have two really good weapons. I wouldn't really put either one as a true number one wide receiver. I'd put them both as like a number two in Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf.
Yeah,
and remember Noah Fant's there too.
You're right. They did get Noah Fant. Right? I did forget about that. That is a good pickup because now they have Everett and Fant.
The other one, I don't see as much as I see the Seattle thing happening. Is Carolina. I don't see it as much as Seattle, but that's another option that I have. The only reason I don't really see that as much, but I do see that being a possibility, is because I feel like Houston might want to go for Christian McCaffrey, and I don't think Watson would really agree with that. But I can definitely see that as a trade possibility. Carolina, I think that's something that really Matt Rule, with a type of quarterback that Matt Rule would really look for. Offensive line is questionable. I think the Panthers are going to, if they go out and get Watson, I think they're going to do well at first. But then as time goes on, he's not going to get the protection that he would like.
No.
So
they go get Watson and they build it up and they build up the O-line in the draft, but that also takes like years of development.
Yeah, that's true. And they don't have the draft capital that Seattle has.
No, not at all.
And
the only reason, go ahead.
Because of reports and stuff, I can see this trade happening, but not as much as Seattle.
Right, yeah. The only thing that I think wouldn't happen was the trade with McCaffrey. Because if you're going to go and get Deshaun Watson, why would you take away his number one weapon? Well, yes, he has DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson. If he went to Carolina, I don't know if taking away his running back out of the backfield, that is also, if not one of the best, if not the best running back in the league right now, when healthy. So I don't think doing that would be a good idea, but I do believe that is a possibility that the Panthers say, hey, Sam Darnold, your time's up here. And they go out and they get Deshaun Watson. And the one last thing that before I go and finish, the one reason why I don't see, or one of the main reasons why I don't see the Giants as well, so why I completely shut down the Giants, is because the Giants don't have anything for Deshaun Watson. They have Saquon and Kenny Golladay, who hasn't really been that great. They have Evan Engram, I guess, who also has kind of fallen off from a couple of years ago. And he's got Sterling Shepard and a couple of other guys, but I don't think that I just don't think personally that the New York Giants would be the correct fit for Deshaun. I can't see him in a Giants uniform.
I don't think that, we did talk about the couple running backs real quick. This is the last thing I have on the topic.
Go ahead.
I think that the 49ers might go after either McCaffrey or Saquon Barkley, one of those two guys, not both. Because they definitely like the running back by committee play style. And I see both those guys leaving because of the situation that they're in. It's designed for McCaffrey, and it's also designed for Barkley to get hurt all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if either one of those two guys go into running back by committee, they're going to not be used as much.
Mm-hmm. Now, if the Texans made the trade for McCaffrey, I don't think they do running back by committee at that point. I think they just give.
I agree with you on that.
Saquon, though, he would be running back by committee, only because they need to really be careful with him.
Yes, I agree with that, except that they don't have really good protection in Houston.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Not at all.
That would be so. Oh, man. Like a dumpster fire right now. I feel so bad for Houston fans. The Rockets, the Texans, both terrible. Is there a Houston hockey? No, there's not a Houston hockey.
No, there's not a Houston hockey.
That would be Dallas, because that's the Texas hockey team.
There's a Houston MLS team.
Yes, Houston Dynamo, right?
Yeah, Dynamo. Yeah,
Dynamo. I don't know how they're doing. I'm not too big on the MLS, or at least I haven't followed it up on this season.
It just started, so I didn't really.
As well as the Astros. So yeah, two I think decent teams, two absolute dumpster fires.
I feel bad. I feel bad more towards Seattle than I do Houston, because at least Houston, even though that they had their issues in the past, at least Houston the Astros are a decent team. Seattle, on the other hand, they just lost Russell Wilson. They don't have an NBA team in there anymore. The Mariners, they
were good last season, but they gotta prove it again.
They're okay, but they're the only MLB team without a World Series appearance.
That an appearance?
They're the only MLB team without a World Series appearance.
Really?
Yeah,
There's not another one without an appearance. Wow.
every other MLB team
That
has
is
made
unbelievable. That
the.
is so upsetting.
Even my team, the Texas Rangers, we made
Mhm.
it back to back twice.
That I remember.
No, scratch that. We had made it back to back once, but it was like 2 back to back years, and I think those were the only 2 years we have made it to the World Series. And then hockey, it's an expansion team, but they're not doing so great.
Not at all.
Seattle Sounders started off 0-2.
Former home of the U.S. men's national team idol, Clint Dempsey.
The only team that has been really doing well is their WNBA team, and that's really not getting as much appreciation as other leagues.
No, unfortunately not. And unfortunately, it's not anything against it, but like I just don't see women's basketball in the making it into that type of conversation. It's like, yeah, this is definitely a popular sport in my state.
There is one other team. There is one other team that's doing well, but it's not in Seattle, but it is, however, in Washington. And that's Gonzaga.
Yes. Yeah. Of course.
But that's completely on the other side of the state. That's 4 or 5 hours away from Seattle.
Yeah. That is, the Gonzaga Bulldogs. They are something else. No football program, but that's why their basketball program rocks every year.
They don't have a football program, but their college is real close to Washington State University.
Oh yeah, it's really bad. I've seen the games where the college basketball games where they both play each other. It's a very hostile environment. I love it. I live to see for those environments, but like, yeah, it's real hostile when it gets up there. I didn't realize listen, ever since like, I didn't realize how hostile Seattle could be until I saw, or it's not Seattle, but how hostile Washington State could be until I saw a Gonzaga Washington State basketball game. Oh my god. That was one of like the loudest. I have not seen a very loud like West Coast game, because it's usually all like the West Coast teams are kind of, I mean, if it's a rivalry then yeah, but like the West Coast teams for college basketball are usually kind of spread out. It's like Stanford's semi good, and then it's like Gonzaga is like the top tier, and you got UCLA and USC and other things. But like, dude, those Washington State Gonzaga games are insane. I love watching them.
I haven't seen one like yet because I haven't really. Either my schedule is busy or it's not really something I'm able to watch.
Right.
Yeah, I live in Washington, but I've been living. Actually, I went down to been living in Texas up until till August of last year. So we actually living out in Texas, I haven't really been able to watch any of those. And then we go into Washington. I have been able to watch one, but I haven't been able to. I've been busy, so like it's been a channel that's not something I can really.
Right. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Everybody's got stuff to do. Trust me. You're not missing out on much. It's all usually Gonzaga wins. I'll spoil it for you right now. Gonzaga wins 90% of the time. It's really fun atmosphere for about the first 5 minutes, and then Gonzaga starts to pull away by like 40.
All right, so this has been okay.
Yet another amazing episode of the Between the Pipes podcast.
This has been another amazing episode of the Between the Pipes podcast. Before we give this a close, where can we find you right here on the ASAP Network?
Where can you find me? Well, you can find me here, obviously, on Between the Pipes almost every Friday night at 10 o'clock. Usually it's 10 to 10:30. And I am also a guest host, or a guest panelist on the Bring It podcast. That is filmed from 8 to 9, on Monday nights. So you can catch me on there, and you will always be able to catch me on here on a Friday, speaking with the man Nathan about hockey, all things on the ice. And yeah, that's where you guys can find me.
As for me, you can find me on Tuesday nights for the ASAP Wrestling Hour podcast, the show with Ray Cruz, Chris Robinson, and William Morgan. Also, you can find me here, and then you can also find me on Saturdays as well. It's a solo show I do. However, I am looking for a co-host on that show, and if anybody's interested, I do that show on Saturdays at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Looking for a co-host on that to do play-by-play announcing. And that's, I talk everything. It really depends on what's going on the schedule. I covered the Colorado Avalanche the last 2 weeks, but I do like lacrosse. I do college basketball. I covered college football for a while. I even covered Christmas Day. I covered an NFL game, Cardinals and Colts.
Nice.
So yeah, I cover like almost everything, and you can find me on that on Saturdays. So this has been Nate and Xander signing out. We'll see you guys next week.
Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. Whole sports all plays.